you'll be hearing Git and you'll be hearing GitHub. They are two separate things. Git, as you can see, is a distributed version control. Is a system which allows developers, when I mean developers, anyone working on a software development lifecycle, be you a software developer, be you a DevOps, be you a tester, be you a project manager, not really a project manager, but those technical side of the IT, you guys are referred as to developers. So this distributed version control system, it allows all developers to work together seamlessly on a project, So what does that mean? It means that, so some people call it source code management tool as well. So what that means is let's say we are 10, let's say all of us in this group now, we're in a team, in a company. I'm talking about realistically, we are working in a company and all of us here, we are in a team, and then we are having our different computers, and then we have different tasks, right, for a project. To do this, Mr. A, you're doing this, Mr. B, you're doing this, like Ben, you're to do this, Naomi, you're doing the other one, Fortune, this other one. Everybody has their own task on the Jira board. So you go there, you pick your tasks during meeting. There's what they call daily stand-up meetings that happens So basically, when you work in a project, you're working an agile methodology. Please put these things into consideration. So when you're reading, write them down. An interviewer might ask you what kind of methodology are you using for your project. You tell them you use agile methodology. So in this agile methodology, it means that all the team members are working in parallel with each other. Like the developers are developing, the testers are testing the feature of that development of everything is centered around the project, and the project is nothing but the product. And when the testers are testing alongside the developers, you as a DevOps, you are releasing those new features into the market. So if a website is already, or a domain is already in existence, and there are new features that need to be added, so the project or the delivery project manager or project manager will ensure that happens, because that's why he or she is employed in the first place, to ensure that the project is delivered. So how does it deliver it? Is by collaborating with the team members. Who are the team members? The people I just mentioned, all the developers, right? So let's say you're working in a Samsung company, and they have Samsung, what's the latest version now? I think S16 or something. So by next year, they will, let's say before the end of this year, there will be a new version of maybe S17, for instance. Or if you're working in a car, for instance, the model is say 2016, and they want to put 2026 and 2025, and they want to put new features in those cars, like the LCD shape, like the shape of the car, the model, has to change. The where you play the music, all those, the dashboard, the LCD screen, everything has to change. The way you stream music, the way everything works. Those are the features that the developer is trying to change on this car company you're working on. And the testers are testing those things, because once the feature is, developed by the developers, because each developer is developing their own thing on their own machine and pushing it into the GitHub, you also as a DevOps, you're picking those things. That's why a DevOps engineer is very important in every company. That's why it's high in demand right now, because once those features are being pushed to the GitHub, we'll talk about GitHub in a minute. Once those are being pushed, so what you do is you test it, because testers have tested in their own machine the feature, if it is working as expected, the functions. So for phone company, let's say you're employed in a phone company and there's a new feature that needs to be added, the same thing. Let's say you're working in an e-commerce company. Let's say you're working in things like, say, Tesco. So they keep updating their product, their days. That maybe you're working in JD Sports, for those of you in the UK, for instance, or in a company that sells clothing for the worldwide. So they keep pushing their clothes, their new designs to the market every single minute. So when there's a new design, they push it. So that new design of clothes, because those are clothing, right? So they don't update anything. The update is pushing new clothes, new designs in their store. So who does that? Is a DevOps engineer. So the features that are being developed are by the developers. The testers are testing those features that have been developed. You as a DevOps, you're gathering those features in the GitHub, tagging it as a version, which is a new release. So you at the end of the discourse, you understand when they say, oh, the phone version is out, version this is out, version that is out. For iPhone people, I think the latest one is iPhone 17. By October this year, they will have a new version of a new phone. What is that version? Is how do they version it? That's what you understand at the end of today's lecture. Yeah, having said that, we will talk about other things while we go to slides. So now this takes us to GitHub. As I said to you guys, Git is different from GitHub. GitHub is a remote server that contains those source code that we mentioned that you use Git to push. Where are you pushing? When you work on your local machine with the Git, you're pushing it to a server, a private remote server. Just like we all provisioned Ubuntu, Debian, CentOS, and all that. That is the same way companies, every company that is using cloud, provision their EC2 instances or a cluster to host their microservice applications. Don't bother what is microservice applications. In the future modules, you will understand what are microservice applications, but they are subdomains. So a company might have 10 to 100 subdomains from their main domain. www.example.com/ whatever domain is there is another domain that is being managed, maybe by another team. So when you work in an agile methodology, you have your scrum master, your delivery manager or project manager. Delivery manager or project manager is essentially the same thing. Then you have your developers. I have worked in a company where they have some front-end developers and some back-end developers. I've also worked in a company where we have full-stack developers, which is someone with the knowledge of both front-end and back-end. In all of this, whether you're working with only front-end developers or back-end developers or full-stack developers, you are working alongside them. And there's what they call an automation tester, be it manual tester or automation tester, a tester that tests those functionalities. Then you as a DevOps, once those functionalities are tested by the tester and they are confirmed is working as expected, they will not tag a version or cut a tag. When you have pushed every single person, I have mentioned everyone working, developers, front and back and full stack, everyone, testers, the DevOps, everyone is pushing their feature branch. You don't worry, you know what is feature branch. I'm just explaining to you in a layman's term so that you'll understand it. So when they push all of this, every single person from their different feature files push to GitHub via Git. So from that, a DevOps engineer cuts a tag or cuts a version for release. So when all those tests has been done, which is called integration test, which is integrating all the feature from different people and test all of them together, they are working as expected. Then from there, a DevOps engineer or a software engineer will now cut a tag, which is a version number for release, and then a DevOps engineer will now push it via CI/CD pipeline, which is another module we're going to teach in 2 weeks or 3 weeks time. So you push it is an automated way of pushing release instead of doing them manually. As a DevOps engineer, everything we do is automation, and that's why a CI/CD pipeline is very, very important. Everything you do, you use CI/CD pipeline. CI/CD pipeline is nothing but a bash script you write in a file. All those manual steps you will do in your local machine, you put them in a script, in a file. So anytime you come, you run the file, it does it. So you saw me do I opened cron tab that day for, like I talked about, the cron job, to schedule a job. That's exactly what you do in a CI/CD pipeline, but that's another module for another day.